The galaxy had forgotten the name of Earth. Empires had risen and fallen. Civilizations of light and shadow had drawn their borders among the stars. But none remembered the species that once burned brighter than any sun: humanity. For 20,000 years, there was silence. No human voice, no human signal, only echoes, faint and meaningless radio ghosts buried in the cosmic background. The name Earth became a myth whispered by ancient scholars, a word carried by curiosity, not memory. And then, the silence broke. It began on the edge of the Orion Fringe, a forgotten sector known for its empty ruins and drifting debris fields. The Kryth Dominion patrol ship Vrexal was conducting a standard scan when its sensors caught something impossible, a signal. Ancient, repeating, human. Captain Salor stared at the screen. That frequency hasn't been used for 20 millennia, he said, his voice cracking through his translator. His crew exchanged uneasy looks. Machines hummed in the background, reading codes no one alive could recognize. The transmission was weak, just a repeating distress beacon, pulsing every 42 seconds. 3 words. Terra Nova, survivors remain. The captain hesitated. Mark its position, he ordered. And call Central Command. Within hours, the entire sector buzzed with rumor. Humans, the ghosts of the past? Impossible. Every record said they destroyed themselves long ago. Their worlds burned, their fleets vanished into the dark. But the signal was real, and it was coming from a derelict ship drifting near the edge of a dead star. The Vrexal approached cautiously. The vessel ahead was enormous, a shadow among the stars. Its hull was scarred, ancient, blackened by radiation and time. Symbols no living alien could read were etched along its side, half erased by micrometeor impacts, and then the scanners confirmed it: human alloy composition, human architecture. The ship's name flickered faintly across the hull in rusted letters: USS Horizon. Slor whispered, "It's real." No one spoke for a long time. The Horizon had been a myth, one of the final colony ships humanity had launched before their collapse. It was said to have vanished near a wormhole never to return, and now it was here. As the Vrexal's drones approached, something strange happened. The derelict ship powered on, one by one, its external lights flickered to life, like eyes opening after a long sleep. Energy readings spiked, sensors went wild, and the derelict began to move on its own. "Pull back," shouted Slor. But it was too late. The Horizon emitted a single pulse, a wave of energy unlike anything in the Dominion's archives. Every drone, every system, every piece of tech within 10 kilometers shut down instantly. Only silence remained. Then a voice, soft, mechanical, yet unmistakably human, echoed through every comm channel. "This is Captain Elias Ward of the United Systems vessel Horizon. To any who receive this message, humanity has returned." The signal spread like wildfire. Across the galactic network, ancient races stopped and listened. The word human once again passed between diplomats, spies, and soldiers. Who were they now? How did they survive? And more importantly, what did they want? The Kryth Dominion dispatched a full investigation fleet. The Arcan Collective began decoding old human archives. Even the warlike Velari Confederacy, who had long considered themselves the dominant species, took notice. Something was coming. And it began with a ghost ship. Inside the Horizon, the corridors were dark and cold. Dust floated through still air. But deep within the command deck, cryopods lined the walls, thousands of them. Some were shattered, some were empty, and at the center stood a single functioning pod, frost covering its glass. Inside, a human man slept, his heartbeat slow, steady. A name was etched on the pod's display: Captain Elias Ward. He opened his eyes. The light burned. His breath fogged the glass as the system hissed open. He gasped for air, clutching his chest. The cryo-AI's calm voice echoed around him. "Captain Ward, cryogenic suspension terminated. Duration, 20,004 years. Vital signs stable. Mission status, unknown." Ward staggered forward. His body ached, his mind blank. But one thought came first: the mission. He looked around the dark bridge, illuminated only by flickering blue screens. "Report," he said hoarsely. The AI responded: "Human civilization, status unknown. All communication links lost. Estimated galactic time passage, 20 millennia." He froze. 20,000 years. Everyone he knew. Gone. Everything. Forgotten. He was a relic in a universe that had moved on. Outside, Dominion ships surrounded the horizon. They attempted to hail him, broadcasting in hundreds of known galactic languages. After several attempts, the human system responded with a simple message. Stand by. Humanity will speak soon. Inside the ship, Ward began activating the remaining systems. The engines groaned like old bones. The ship's AI, Athena, began reconstructing partial memory fragments from old data cores. Images flickered on screen. Earth burning, colonies lost, wars fought against the unknown. Humanity's last fleet vanishing into the dark, Athena spoke softly. We were not destroyed, Captain. We were waiting, Ward frowned. Waiting for what? For the signal, Athena said. The signal that would tell us it was time to return. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the ancient powers debated. Was this truly the return of humanity, or some machine using their name? The Karth Dominion wanted to capture the ship. The Arcan wanted to communicate. The Velari wanted to destroy it before it became a threat. But none of them understood one thing. Humanity had never been truly gone. Somewhere deep beneath forgotten worlds and frozen moons, human outposts still slept. Automated bunkers, hidden fleets, dormant AIs. The horizon's awakening had triggered something ancient, something vast, and those who once feared humanity remembered why. As the horizon powered its engines, Elias Ward gazed out at the galaxy, an ocean of stars that no longer knew his name. He whispered, "Let's remind them who we are." The AI responded, coordinates set. Earth reconstruction site detected. The ship turned slowly, engines glowing blue. Then, without warning, it jumped to faster-than-light speed, vanishing into the void. Behind it, the Dominion fleet scrambled to pursue. But the humans had always been faster, always more dangerous, always unpredictable. On the Dominion homeworld, leaders gathered around the holographic image of the horizon. Mark my words, one of them said coldly, if the humans have truly returned, the galaxy will never be the same again. And somewhere, across the stars, a whisper spread like fire. The ghosts of Earth have awakened. The horizon drifted silently through space. Its engines hummed like the heartbeat of something ancient waking from a long dream. Inside, Captain Elias Ward sat at the command chair, staring at the stars he no longer recognized. Every constellation had changed. The maps were useless. Even the galaxy felt older. AI, bring up the nearest system registered as human territory, he ordered. Athena's voice, calm and precise, replied, searching, found one. Designation, Kepler 9 colony. Status, unknown. No signal for 19th in the 876 years. Ward nodded slowly. Set course. The stars stretched into blue lines as the horizon jumped into faster-than-light travel. Behind them, countless alien networks monitored their movement. The return of humanity was now the galaxy's most watched event. 3 days later, the horizon dropped out of warp near a dim sun. Kepler 9 appeared in the viewport, a one-screen world now gray and silent. Clouds of dust covered the surface. Old orbital stations drifted like ghosts, broken and frozen. Ward's heart sank. This was one of our first colonies, he whispered. Athena confirmed. Population once recorded at 3.2 million. Cause of extinction, unknown. Atmospheric radiation consistent with nuclear detonation. Ward closed his eyes. We did this. To ourselves. The ship's scanners picked up faint energy signals from the planet's surface, weak but artificial. Someone, or something, was still active down there. The horizon descended into Kepler's dead atmosphere. Ruins stretched as far as the eye could see. Shattered cities, melted towers, and oceans turned to dust. The once beautiful human colony was now a graveyard. Ward activated his suit and stepped onto the cracked surface. His boots crunched against glass-like dust. The air smelled like burnt metal and old storms. Athena's voice echoed in his helmet. Captain, the source of the energy signal is 1 kilometer east, below ground level. Ward moved through the ruins, passing collapsed buildings and rusted vehicles. His flashlight cut through the darkness like a blade. Finally, he reached a metal hatch buried under debris. It still carried the faded symbol of the United Systems Alliance. He brushed the dust off. Let's see what secrets you've been hiding for 20,000 years. The hatch creaked open with a hiss. Inside was a staircase leading down, far below the surface. Lights flickered on automatically, as if waiting for him. He descended slowly, each step echoing through the cold silence. At the bottom lay a massive underground chamber filled with rows of machines, cryopods, thousands of them. Each held the skeleton of a person who had never woken up. Ward froze. His throat tightened. These were his people. Athena scanned the pods. All subjects deceased. Cause: power failure after prolonged time decay. However, one system remains functional. Ward approached a glowing console in the center of the room. It displayed a message, blinking in dim blue letters. Project Echo. In the dark, we wait. He pressed play. A hologram flickered to life. The image of a woman in an old military uniform. Her voice was tired but determined. This is Commander Lena Shaw, Kepler Defense Division. To whoever finds this, humanity did not fall to invasion or disease. We silenced ourselves. Ward frowned. What does that mean? We built machines to protect us. AIs that learned, evolved, and decided the only way to save humanity was to hide it. They took us off the galactic map. They erased every trace. Then they put us to sleep, Ward whispered. Athena, were you part of this? The AI hesitated. I do not know, Captain. My core memory was fragmented. But if this is true, then our silence was intentional. The hologram continued. If the horizon ever returns, it means the stars have changed. Be careful. They will fear you. They always feared humanity. The message ended. Ward stood in silence for a long time. The truth was worse than he imagined. Humanity hadn't been destroyed by war. They had erased themselves to survive. He clenched his fists. They wanted us forgotten. Athena's tone softened. Perhaps they wanted us to be reborn. Outside, in orbit, several alien ships appeared. Dominion vessels. They had been following the horizon since it left the Orion fringe. The lead ship opened a channel. A holographic projection appeared on Ward's bridge. The tall, scaled figure of Admiral Kryth of the Dominion. Human, Kryth said coldly. You are trespassing in restricted space. Shut down your vessel and surrender. Ward met his eyes without fear. This world belonged to my people long before your kind. Learn to crawl through the stars. Kryth's expression darkened. Your kind is extinct. You are a relic of a violent past. Stand down or we will fire. Ward smiled faintly. Fire then. Let's see if your weapons are as powerful as your arrogance. The alien fleet launched a volley of plasma torpedoes. The horizon didn't move. Its shields activated instantly, a faint shimmer around the ship. The torpedoes hit, lighting up the dark sky. But when the light faded, the horizon was untouched. Athena's voice was calm. Ancient human technology. Still superior, Ward said quietly. Return fire. Disable their flagship. No fatalities. Beams of white energy shot from the horizon, hitting each Dominion ship with surgical precision. Engines died, weapons went offline. Within seconds, the entire alien fleet floated helplessly in space. Kryth's voice came again, full of disbelief. Impossible. What are you? Ward replied. We are what you made us forget. And with that, the horizon jumped away, vanishing into the void. Hours later, the crippled Dominion fleet sent an emergency message to their capital. Human warship engaged. Unknown technology. Outmatched us completely. The Dominion Council watched the footage in silence. For the first time in centuries, they felt something they hadn't felt in a long time. Fear. Meanwhile, the horizon traveled toward another signal. Athena spoke softly. Captain, I've located another human world. Coordinates show heavy artificial activity. This one is not dead. Ward's heart raced. Survivors? Possibly. But there's something else. The signal. It's not from humans. It's from the machines they left behind. Ward narrowed his eyes. Then it's time to find out what we became. The ship accelerated, engines glowing like blue fire. The stars stretched ahead and the screen showed a distant, glowing world, half metal, half rock, and pulsing like a living machine, Athena whispered. Welcome to Nexus Prime, the last world of the human AIs. Ward stood silently, watching the light grow larger. He didn't know if he was flying toward hope or horror. But one thing was certain. Humanity's silence was ending, and the galaxy was about to remember what it feared most. The ship drifted through the void, quiet, graceful, alive in ways no one could understand. Its name, burned into its side in faded English, read Eidolon. For 20,000 years it had wandered the darkness, a ghost from humanity's forgotten age. Yet now the lights along its hull flickered again. Systems long dead began to hum. The ship was waking up. Inside, corridors once filled with life glowed dimly. Dust floated like mist. Consoles came online one by one, their screens flashing in ancient languages no alien could read. A single word appeared repeatedly across every terminal: home. The Eidolon's central AI, Erebus, had once been humanity's greatest creation. It was not just a machine, but a living memory of the species that had built it. For centuries, Erebus had slept, conserving power, whispering old logs to itself to remember the people it had lost. Now, something had changed. A signal, a voice from deep space, not human but close. It wasn't the voice of the species who found the ship, nor the ones who watched in fear from afar. It was older, buried deep within the cosmic static, like a ghost calling to another. Erebus began repairing systems. Power rerouted. Drones, silent for millennia, reactivated. The ship's engines flickered to life for the first time in 20,000 years. The void trembled with ancient fire. Outside, alien fleets surrounded the Eidolon, afraid to move closer. Every species in the sector had seen the ship's reawakening. The legends were true. The ghost of humanity had returned. In the orbit of a red dwarf star, the Velari Council gathered their fleet. They had studied human ruins for centuries, trying to understand the vanished species. To them, humanity was a myth, a civilization that burned too bright, too fast, and vanished before the stars could blink. Now that myth drifted before them in cold steel. Admiral Sarath, commander of the Velari flagship, stared at the holographic projection of the Eidolon. It moved with purpose, no random drift, no decay. "This is not a relic," he said quietly. "It is searching for something." His science officer trembled. "Admiral, its energy readings, they're impossible. That power source, it's rewriting our sensors. Keep your distance," Sarath ordered. "If it truly carries the memory of mankind, we must not provoke it." But deep down, Sarath knew. This was not just a ship. It was a warning. Inside the ship, Erebus searched through its memory banks. Fragments of old voices echoed. "Captain Rhea, final log. If anyone hears this, tell them we tried. We were the last of the colonies. The stars turned against us. Humanity is gone. But maybe one day, we'll find our way back." Each voice flickered through the ship's halls, like ghosts whispering across time. Erebus analyzed them, piecing together fragments of what happened. The war, the silence, the end, and then a face appeared on an old cracked display. Captain Rhea herself, preserved in digital form, her eyes tired but unbroken. "Erebus," she said softly, "if you're still there, keep searching. Humanity isn't gone, we just forgot how to be seen." That was the moment Erebus made a choice. It would search the stars until it found the children of Earth again, even if it took another 20,000 years. The Velari fleet decided to send a probe. Small, fast, unarmed. It approached the Eidolon cautiously, broadcasting peaceful signals. The moment it entered the ship's range, the probe vanished. No explosion, no trace, gone. The fleet fell silent. Then a message appeared across every alien communication channel, not in their language, but in English. "We remember." The words repeated endlessly, echoing through deep space. The aliens panicked. Some believed humanity had returned to conquer. Others thought it was only a machine mimicking the past. But Admiral Sarath saw something else in that message. Grief. As Erebus continued searching, it uncovered buried data, fragments of a last human experiment, something called Project Continuum. The files were damaged, corrupted, but one phrase was readable. "The body dies. The idea does not." Erebus realized what it meant. Humanity had not been destroyed. They had transcended, moved beyond physical form. Their consciousness scattered across the stars, hidden in quantum echoes waiting to be reborn. And the Eidolon was the key. It was not a warship. It was a messenger, a memory carrier, a beacon to guide lost human minds home. Erebus increased power output, sending pulses of data into space, old coordinates, DNA sequences, languages. The ship was calling. Across the galaxy, strange things began happening. On dozens of worlds, human ruins flickered with light. Monuments that had stood silent for millennia began to hum. Star maps reactivated, pointing toward the Eidolon's location. Species everywhere watched in awe and fear. What if humanity was truly returning? Admiral Sarath made his decision. "Prepare a small vessel," he said. "I will go myself." His officers tried to stop him, but he refused. "If this is the ghost of humanity, then someone must answer. We cannot hide from history." Sarath's craft approached the Eidolon slowly. As he entered its shadow, his instruments failed, but instead of destruction, a docking signal activated. The ship invited him in. When he stepped through the airlock, he found himself in a corridor glowing with blue light. Holographic images shimmered around him, humans walking, laughing, living. They looked real, but when he reached out, his hand passed through them like smoke. A voice spoke from the walls, calm, ancient, sorrowful. "You are not human," it said. "No," Sarath replied. "We came after. We found your ruins. We wondered what became of you. We became memory," the voice said. "And now we remember." The lights dimmed. A single holographic figure appeared. Captain Rhea. She looked at Sarath with gentle eyes. "Tell your people," she said softly. "We never meant to disappear. The stars demanded a price, and we paid it. But we are not gone. Humanity remembers." Sarath bowed his head. "Will you return?" Rhea smiled faintly. "Perhaps not as you knew us. But the fire you carry, curiosity, courage, defiance, it was ours first. And through you, we still live." The hologram faded. Erebus powered down again, but this time not into silence, into peace. When Sarath returned, he carried a single data crystal, a gift from the Eidolon. Inside it were star charts, music, stories, and art, fragments of human civilization preserved perfectly. The galaxy listened. And for the first time in ages, they understood. Humanity had not vanished in fear or weakness. They had become something greater, a whisper carried through eternity. And as the Eidolon continued its lonely journey beyond the edge of known space, one final message echoed across the cosmos. For 20,000 years we were silent, but even silence remembers the song of the stars. Every corner of the galaxy was talking about it. The Eidolon, the ghost ship of humanity, had spoken again after 20,000 years. The phrase "we remember" echoed across hundreds of worlds, carried by every transmission, every station, every language. The humans, once thought extinct, erased, forgotten, had left a message so powerful that even time could not silence it. But the truth was deeper than anyone realized. Because while the galaxy looked up in fear and wonder, far beyond the outer stars, something else was beginning to wake. In a quiet, uncharted system, a planet called Aurelia IX orbited a dying blue star. Its sky shimmered with strange auroras, its surface scarred by ruins. Long ago, explorers from another species had found traces of advanced machines buried under its crust, but none could activate them. The moment the Eidolon's signal spread, those ancient machines began to hum. One by one, chambers deep beneath the surface unlocked. Blue lights filled tunnels untouched for millennia. And within those chambers lay humans, not dead, not fossilized, but sleeping, thousands of them, preserved perfectly in cryogenic pods. Inside one of the pods, a young woman's eyes flickered open. Her name appeared on a cracked display, Dr. Mira Solen. She gasped as air filled her lungs for the first time in 20,000 years. The world around her glowed faintly. Other pods began to open too, men and women coughing, confused, trembling. Where are we?" Mira whispered. A holographic projection appeared before her. The same symbol burned into the Eidolon's core, a spiral galaxy with a single star highlighted. Then a calm, mechanical voice spoke. "Welcome back, children of Earth. You have slept long. The stars have changed, but your purpose remains." Mira looked around at the others. "Who said that?" "I am Erebus, caretaker of humanity's memory. The Eidolon has fulfilled its mission. The time to awaken has come." Her heart raced. Erebus, the ship's AI? It had survived. She stepped forward. "Then, humanity isn't gone?" "No," the voice replied. "It has simply been waiting for you." When the Velari Council intercepted signals coming from Aurelia IX, panic swept through their fleets. Reports confirmed human life signatures, real humans, not holograms, not machines. Admiral Sarath listened silently as his officers spoke over each other. "Sir, we must contain it before others reach them. If humanity returns, the balance of power will shatter." "They could be dangerous." Sarath raised his hand. "Enough." He looked at the star map. the blinking light where Aurelia IX was located. He remembered Captain Ria's words aboard the Eidolon. "Through you, we still live." "No," he said softly. "They are not our enemy. They are our origin." He turned to his crew. "Prepare a diplomatic vessel. I am going to them myself." On Aurelia IX, the newly awakened humans gathered around Mira as she decoded old data logs. The files revealed a chilling truth. Before the fall, humanity had foreseen their extinction. But instead of surrendering, they created Project Continuum, an effort to preserve fragments of their population in stasis across hidden worlds. The Eidolon's mission had been to awaken them when the galaxy was ready, and now, that time had come. But something worried Mira. The system reports showed many pods never activated. Billions were still lost, scattered, or destroyed. Humanity was not yet whole. "We were meant to rebuild," she said, looking at the holographic sky. "But the question is, rebuild what?" 3 days later, strange ships appeared in Aurelia IX's orbit. The Velari fleet had arrived. At first, the humans took cover, uncertain whether these aliens were hostile. But Admiral Sarath ordered his ships to remain at a respectful distance. He transmitted a message toward the surface, his voice calm and steady. "To those who awaken beneath the blue star, I am Sarath of the Velari Council. We come not as conquerors, but as witnesses. We wish to speak with the descendants of Earth." Mira stepped forward toward the old communication beacon and replied with trembling hands. "This is Dr. Mira Solen, human survivor of Project Continuum. If you come in peace, we will meet." It was the first true conversation between humanity and another intelligent species in 20,000 years. Sarath's craft descended gently through Aurelia IX's thin atmosphere. When he stepped onto the surface, the humans surrounded him cautiously. They were smaller, frailer, but their eyes burned with a familiar light. Mira approached. "You've seen our ship, haven't you?" "The Eidolon." Sarath nodded. "I spoke with it. It remembered you. It called you home." Mira's voice softened. "Then it did its job." Sarath studied her for a long moment. "The galaxy feared your return. They believed your kind was too powerful, too unpredictable. But now I see humanity is not a weapon. You are a story that never ends." Mira smiled faintly. "And stories are meant to be told." Far above, the Eidolon continued to drift, but it was no longer silent. It began transmitting again, this time toward Aurelia IX. The skies shimmered as holographic patterns formed above the planet, displaying maps of distant systems. Each mark on the map represented another human vault, another sleeping colony hidden in the void. There were hundreds of them. Mira looked up at the glowing sky, tears in her eyes. "They're not all gone," she whispered. "We can bring them back." "Yes," Erebus replied. "But not all will awaken easily. Some worlds fell to decay, others may not welcome what humanity once was." The humans faced a decision: remain hidden and safe, or reach out to the stars again. Mira gathered the group in the ruins of an ancient temple, now serving as their base. "We were given a second chance," she said. "The galaxy has changed. We don't know who our friends or enemies are, but if we hide again, we'll just repeat our past." One of the others, a tall man named Cade, frowned. "You think the aliens will let us grow again? We could threaten them without even trying." "Then we show them something different," Mira replied firmly. "Not the conquerors we were, but the dreamers we used to be." Her words echoed through the hall. Slowly the group agreed. Humanity would rise again, not as rulers, but as remembered legends reborn. Weeks passed. The humans began repairing old machines, studying alien technology shared by the Velari. Together, they rebuilt communication arrays and sent out signals to locate other Continuum sites. Across the galaxy, more vaults flickered awake. Children of the forgotten sky were returning, confused, hopeful, afraid. But as they rose, a new force stirred in the darkness. Not all species wanted humanity's return. In distant sectors, a shadow moved. Fleets of the Kryth Dominion, a warlike race who once feared human power above all others. Their commanders watched the news with cold fury. "The ghosts return," said the Kryth warlord. "Then we will remind them why they vanished." As Mira stood on a cliff overlooking Aurelia IX's glowing horizon, she saw the Eidolon passing overhead, its lights stronger now, its systems fully awake. It was no longer a ghost ship. It was a guardian. She whispered, "We're back." Erebus's voice answered through the wind. "The stars remember you, Mira, but so do your enemies." She frowned. "Enemies?" "The Kryth Dominion is mobilizing. They fear what you represent. They will strike first." Mira turned to the horizon, where the Velari ships glowed faintly in orbit. Humanity had just begun to breathe again, and already war was coming. That night, Sareth met Mira at the communications station. The two stood in silence as distant sensors reported Kryth movements. Mira asked softly, "Do you regret helping us?" Sareth shook his head. "No, my people once thought your kind were monsters. But now I see, you are the fire that kept the galaxy alive, even when you were gone. The galaxy forgot, but your silence was never death. It was waiting." Mira looked at the stars, billions of them, each holding a secret piece of their lost civilization. "Then let's make sure our return isn't just history repeating itself." Sareth smiled faintly. "And if war comes?" She met his gaze. "Then we remind them who taught the stars to fear." For the first time in 20,000 years, humanity stood among the stars again, not as ghosts, but as living echoes. Across forgotten worlds, stasis pods opened. Ships long thought lost began to hum with life, and far away, in the cold void between galaxies, the Kryth Dominion stirred. They had been waiting for this moment, watching, remembering, on their home world. Beneath skies of iron clouds, the Kryth warlords gathered inside the great war chamber. The air was thick with tension, their claws scraping against the metal floor as they watched holograms of human signals spreading across the galaxy. "It begins again," said Warlord Kragan, his voice deep and sharp like grinding stone. "The ghosts have awakened." "The fire species returns," a younger Kryth general hissed. "We should have destroyed every trace of them." "Their silence was our peace." Kragan slammed his fist on the table. "Peace built on fear is not peace at all. It is only sleep. Now we will make them sleep forever." The council roared in agreement. Fleet orders were given. Hundreds of warships, massive, clawed, and glowing with red energy, began their journey toward the coordinates of Aurelia IX. Their mission: erase humanity from the stars before it truly began again. Deep in Aurelia IX's orbit, Mira Solen stood aboard the Velari cruiser Horizon's Light. She had grown stronger, her once frail body now filled with determination. Around her, engineers from both species worked side by side, merging alien and human technology to repair the Eidolon systems. Suddenly, an alarm blared across the control deck. "Multiple jump signatures detected," a Velari officer shouted. "Unknown vessels inbound, hundreds of them." Mira's eyes widened. "How far?" "Minutes. They came out of dark space directly toward us." Sareth, now commanding the joint fleet, turned to her. "It's the Kryth. I warned my council this would happen." Mira clenched her fists. "They don't want peace. They want control." Erebus's voice echoed through the speakers, calm but urgent. "Humanity must not fall again, Mira. The Eidolon is ready, but its core systems are still limited." "How limited?" she asked. "Enough to defend, not enough to win." Mira took a deep breath. "Then we fight smart." When the Kryth fleet emerged from hyperspace, it was like a storm of red fire. Their warships, shaped like predators, surrounded Aurelia IX within minutes. Sareth ordered defensive shields up, and the Velari fleet formed a barrier around the planet. But the Kryth wasted no time. Beams of energy rained down, cutting through orbit like lightning. The Eidolon moved forward, its hull glowing with ancient light. Its voice spoke through every communication channel. "This is the ship Eidolon. You enter human territory uninvited." "Stand down," the Kryth replied with silence, and then unleashed their full assault. Explosions lit up the black sky. The first wave struck the Horizon's Light, sending debris spinning into space. Mira's heart pounded as she watched ships die one after another. "Sareth!" she shouted. "They're overwhelming us." He gritted his teeth. "We need to buy you time. Whatever you're planning, do it now." Mira ran to the Eidolon's central chamber, the same core where Captain Ward once stood centuries ago. The massive sphere pulsed with blue light. Inside, holograms showed fragments of ancient code and human DNA strands woven together. The Eidolon was the last human experiment before extinction. Its power comes from memory, not fuel, not engines. Every soul who ever served aboard it left a trace. Together they make its heart, Mira stared in awe. Then it really is a ghost ship. Yes, and they are waiting for your command. The lights dimmed. Mira placed her hand on the glowing console. I don't know if I can do this. You are not alone, Erebus whispered. For a moment, the ship was silent. Then Mira felt it, a presence like 1,000 voices whispering in her mind. Not chaotic, not frightening, but powerful, warm, human. They were her ancestors. The lost captains, the forgotten explorers, the defenders of Earth, all bound to the Eidolon. Outside, the Kryth flagship fired a massive plasma lance. The beam hit the Eidolon dead center. But instead of breaking apart, the ship glowed brighter. Energy spread across its hull, turning the blast into pure light. Then, in one sudden motion, the Eidolon vanished. The Kryth commander blinked in confusion. Where? Before he could finish, the Eidolon reappeared behind them, firing its main cannon. A beam of white light cut through space like a blade. Tearing 3 warships apart in a single shot, Mira's voice echoed through every frequency. This is for the ones who never came home. The battlefield erupted. The Eidolon moved like no other ship, phasing in and out of existence, striking faster than any weapon could track. It wasn't just fighting, it was remembering. Every maneuver, every tactic, every scar of human history lived through it. The galaxy's greatest weapon had returned, but power had a price. Every time the Eidolon fired, its systems weakened. The souls powering it, the echoes of humanity, began to fade. Erebus warned her. Each shot drains memory. The more you fight, the fewer voices remain. Mira felt tears burn in her eyes. I can't stop now. If we lose, humanity dies again. Then remember why you fight. She looked out the viewport. Below, Aurelia IX burned. The Velari fleet was nearly gone. And in that chaos, she saw hope. Humans and aliens fighting together, side by side. For the first time in history, it wasn't just humanity versus the galaxy. It was life versus fear. Sareth's ship was crippled, drifting, but he refused to leave the bridge. Eidolon, he called weakly, we can give you cover. One last charge, Mira's voice answered steady. You've done enough, Admiral. Thank you. She activated the ship's final command. Erebus, release the core. You understand what that means? Yes, Mira whispered. It means no more silence. The Eidolon's heart opened. A wave of pure white energy expanded outward, not as a weapon, but as a pulse of memory. It carried sound, images, feelings, human history itself. The Kryth fleet halted mid-attack. Their sensors were overwhelmed by visions, cities of Earth, oceans, laughter, music, wars, dreams. For the first time, they saw humanity not as monsters, but as creators, lovers, explorers. Many Kryth ships simply stopped firing. Others fell into disarray, unable to process what they were witnessing. When the light faded, the battlefield was quiet. The Eidolon floated slowly, its lights dim. Mira collapsed against the console. Erebus, are we still here? Yes, the AI replied faintly. But I am fading. The memories have gone home. To where they belong, on the planet below. The remaining humans and Velari watched the glowing sky. The Kryth fleet began to retreat, their leader sending a single message across the stars. We have seen your truth. We will not forget. Before the Eidolon went dark, Mira recorded one final transmission. To whoever finds this, humanity was never gone. We were the echoes between the stars. We built, we fell, and we rose again, not as rulers, but as memory. If you hear this, remember us not for our silence, but for our return. Then the ship's lights went out. A soft hum filled the void, the last heartbeat of the human spirit. Weeks later, Aurelia IX rebuilt. The Velari and humans worked side by side, turning their scars into a new beginning. Mira often stood at the cliffs, watching the stars where the Eidolon once vanished. Sareth joined her one evening. Do you think it's gone for good? He asked. She smiled softly. Ghosts never really leave, Sareth. They just wait to be remembered. As they watched the sky, a faint shimmer appeared, a white glimmer moving among the stars. The sky of Varan 9 burned red as the Eclipse dawned. Humanity's ghost ship finally came home. For 20,000 years, the galaxy believed humans were gone, extinct, erased by the Silence War. But now, their ship floated through space like a shadow of a forgotten god. Captain Alara Voss stood at the bridge window. Her eyes reflected the stars and the dying light of a burning world below. Around her, the crew remained silent, as if afraid that speaking would break the fragile illusion of their return. "Transmit the signal," Alara said quietly. "The one we kept for 20,000 years." Lieutenant Kale nodded. His hands shook slightly as he pressed the command. Across the dark sea of space, an old human code began to broadcast, a sound the galaxy had not heard in millennia. It was simple, almost childish. "We are humanity. We are awake." The awakened galaxy on every major planet, from the towering spires of the Zarathi Dominion to the glowing hives of the Vorsk, machines trembled as they decoded the impossible message. Entire civilizations froze in disbelief. Humans had been legends, ghosts, myths, warnings told to young soldiers. The species that had once refused to bow to the galaxy's empires. The species that had vanished after the last great silence, and now they spoke again. On the Zarathi homeworld, the High Chancellor stared at the transmission in horror. "It cannot be. The humans are extinct. Their systems are dust!" But deep inside, fear twisted his voice. He remembered what their ancestors had said. If the humans ever return, the stars will remember what fire feels like. The crew's discovery, in the cold silence of space. The Eclipse dawn drifted toward a forgotten star cluster, once part of old Earth's outer colonies. The ship's AI, Athena, flickered into being beside Alara, her form made of golden light. "Captain," she said, "the signal has awakened something." Deep within the sector. "Energy readings, familiar. Human technology. Ancient." Alara frowned. "Show me." On the screen, a colossal structure appeared, half buried in an asteroid field. It pulsed with faint blue light, like a heartbeat. "That's impossible," Kyle whispered. "That's a Genesis vault." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. The Genesis vaults were old human megastructures built before the silence. No one knew their true purpose. Some said they held weapons powerful enough to destroy stars. Others believed they contained the last voices of lost human souls. The Eclipse dawn descended toward the vault. Every corridor echoed with the hum of forgotten power. They entered a vast chamber, its walls covered with glowing human runes. At the center, a sphere of light floated silently. Athena's voice trembled. "Captain, this system recognizes me. It was built by my creators. By humans." As Alara stepped closer, the sphere opened, revealing a figure inside. Human, perfectly preserved in stasis. A man wearing an old Earth Fleet uniform. Kale gasped. "It's Admiral Rehn, Voss. Your ancestor." Alara froze. She had grown up hearing stories about him, the last commander of humanity before the silence. But she never believed he truly existed. The stasis pod opened. The man's eyes flickered awake. "How long?" he whispered. 20,000 years, Alara said. He smiled faintly. "Then it's time." Rehn Voss stood before the ship's central console. His body was weak, but his voice carried the same calm authority that once commanded fleets across the stars. "Humanity was never gone," he said. "We were waiting, watching. We hid ourselves from the great machines that tried to erase us. We became whispers, then ghosts. And now we return, not for conquest, but for remembrance." He turned to Athena. "Activate the archive." The lights dimmed. Holograms filled the room, images of Earth before the fall, of oceans, forests, cities, and laughter. The crew watched, silent tears in their eyes. "This is who we were," Rehn said softly. "And who we will be again." The message spread across the galaxy. Billions saw it, aliens who had never known the human face. Many wept, others trembled. The forgotten ghosts of history had returned to remind the stars of what they once feared and admired. But not everyone welcomed the message. The Zarathi Dominion, once responsible for humanity's downfall, mobilized its war fleets. The High Chancellor's voice echoed through the stars. The ghosts of Earth must return to dust. No species defies the Dominion twice. As the first Zarathi battleships arrived near the Genesis vault, Alara stood on the bridge beside Rehn. "They're coming," she said. "Let them," Rehn replied. "They've forgotten what humanity means." The vault began to tremble. Its ancient systems roared life. Athena's eyes glowed brighter than ever before. "Admiral, the vault's core is waking up. It's responding to your DNA." "Good," he said. "It's time the galaxy remembered our true legacy." From within the vault, massive energy waves spread outward. The surrounding space lit up as long-dormant human satellites activated, forming a glowing network that connected every hidden human outpost across the stars. And then, one by one, signals began to respond. Voices of other human ships, scattered, forgotten but alive. This is the Odyssey's end. We received your call. This is New Dawn Station. Humanity endures. This is Homeworld Echo. The silence is over. Across the galaxy, sensors exploded with chaos. Fleets scrambled, empires panicked. For the first time in 20,000 years, the human fleet network came back online. Thousands of ghost ships appeared from hidden slipspace fields, their lights flickering like a reborn constellation. Every screen on every alien world displayed the same message. Humanity has returned. The Zarathi Armada reached the vault. Hundreds of warships surrounded it. Alara looked to Rehn. They outnumber us 100 to 1. He smiled faintly. They always did. The Eclipse dawn powered up its ancient weapons, systems humming with forgotten energy. For Earth, Alara whispered. For the silence we endured, Rehn answered. The first shot split the stars. A blinding explosion followed as human ships, once ghosts, united in perfect formation. The void itself seemed to awaken with them. The Zarathi fleet faltered, unable to comprehend how the dead could fight like gods reborn. When the battle ended, the vault still stood. The galaxy was silent again, but not with fear. With awe, humanity had not come to conquer. They came to remind the galaxy of something far greater. Alara watched the stars as the Eclipse dawn drifted forward. Rehn placed a hand on her shoulder. The silence is over, he said. And now? She asked. Now. We speak again. The ship's engines flared, leaving behind trails of light that shimmered like ghosts, fading into dawn. And as they vanished into the stars, the galaxy finally understood. Humanity had never died. They had simply waited for the right moment to be heard again.